welcome to the show. I'm John Lincove.
I'm Maddie McCarty.
And I'm Ryan Pilzakowski.
And today we're talking about the Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. And a couple things you may want to know about this SUV. So it's the first hybrid version of Hyundai's three-row SUV in order to compete with the Toyota Highlander/Grand Highlander hybrids. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, says it gets 29 miles per gallon highway, where the regular all-wheel drive V6 version gets just 20 miles per gallon combined. And then there are both front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive versions of the hybrid available. So, Maddie, the three of us have spent a lot of time in it individually. What are some of the good things? What did you like about it?
I thought that it was a nice interior. First off, you hop in and it's got a lot of different nice materials like microfiber along the pillars and some, I think it's probably pleather. I don't know if it's real leather, but it gives it a nice look and has nice stitching. Everything just seems very clean,
Right.
which I appreciate. The seats were comfortable, I found, and I thought it drove pretty decently. I know that there are some differing opinions.
Don't give it away. Yeah.
But as, getting from point A to point B, I thought that it would get you there.
Yeah. I mean, we bought a Calligraphy version, which is, I think, the next
top.
is the top one. Yeah.
There's Calligraphy Night right above it.
There's something with blacked out trim or stuff like that.
But
So yeah,
essentially the same.
we got the Calligraphy. It's a $60,000 SUV. But it's the volume version according to Hyundai.
Yeah. It's loaded.
And it's loaded.
It is loaded. It has a lot of stuff in it that I was not expecting.
Yeah, like what?
It has like a mild massage seat in the front, right? What's it called?
It's called the Ergo Motion seat.
Oh, okay.
I think it's supposed to help alleviate stiffness or pain.
Yeah, move some blood around while you're on a long drive or something.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, and I mean for that price point, that's pretty good.
Yep.
By today's standards. I think he did ventilated rear seats.
Yeah.
He did rear seats as you find in some high-end SUVs, but ventilated, not so much. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Heating in the third row.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah,
that's rare.
Right.
Yeah.
And for that price point, that's impressive.
But again, if you said something like, I was driving the Range Rover, the big boat Range Rover, and it had massaging seats, and people are like, well, yeah, for $100,000.
You paid twice the price of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Easily.
Yeah. But so you're totally right. That's the one thing I wanted to bring up in the trim, just because of that headliner, like you said, is super nice.
Yeah.
In an age where so many vehicles have this hard stuff that looks like it's more easy to clean than nice to look at or touch.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like a bunch of reflective plastic everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what else, Ryan?
I agree with Maddie. Just handling wise, driving it around, it has kind of a nice steering weight. It feels a little big, but it handles itself well, and it's just super practical type of car, right? It's easy to get in and out of. The doors are pretty big. Makes a lot of sense, I think, family wise, right? And the fuel economy, I mean, that's impressive, I think, for a third row SUV.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some other things after, but in the bad category. But it's a nice setup, if you will. There's some things I need to fix, however, but in general, I think it's a nice three-row SUV with a lot of features that you wouldn't get in any other brand, really.
Yeah, and you don't always see, I think, the big redesign of such a kind of a groundbreaking vehicle. I mean, when that and the Kia Telluride both came out.
Yeah, these are big vehicles, yeah.
Wow, here's Hyundai Kia really taking it to Toyota, taking it to Honda with the Pilot. That's a big thing to start with. And then a massive redesign like this, okay, what's going to happen?
Right.
And they kind of hit it.
Yeah.
Hit it maybe not out of the ballpark, but maybe like a really solid double.
They have
Maybe they legged out a triple with it.
Well, I think they're in a good position because what we're going to talk about, I think, is fixable.
Yeah.
And they have a really good start. There's a good base to carry forward, I think. So I'll mention too, I think that it rides pretty well. It's a little firmer than its regular ICE counterpart, but it's internal combustion counterpart, but it's still pretty comfortable and it's quiet. Very quiet.
It's very quiet. The engine itself, switching between EV mode and kicking on the engine.
Yep.
I couldn't actually hear it sometimes, especially if I had the AC going or music going.
Yeah.
It's just very seamless noise-wise in that way.
That adds to that. The quietness adds to the luxury feel.
Yeah,
when it's quiet like that,
definitely.
you're like, oh, I'm in something a little more upscale, right?
Yeah.
Which sends that $60,000 even further up, right? So that's great, I think.
I mean, $60,000, let's be honest, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a ton of money, right?
It's a ton of money. And even if that's the volume one and we haven't driven the lower versions, they still are going, historically Hyundai and Kia as well, but Hyundai, we're talking about the Palisade, it still will be nicely equipped. You know, it's not as if it's going to be bare bones unless you spend 60 grand and then they just throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they distribute it pretty well, I think, through the line, right?
Yeah.
The options, if you will.
Maddie, can you tell us about some of the ADAS systems that come standard on it?
Absolutely. So we have blind spot warning, rear cross traffic warning, forward collision warning with pedestrian and cyclist detection, and then highway driving assist. And so highway driving assist comes with lane centering and adaptive cruise control to help the vehicle stay centered in the lane and keep a steady pace behind the lead vehicle while adjusting for changes in speed automatically.
And it has a lane changing, right?
Yeah, so this one, so the Calligraphy, actually the SEL Premium and Up come with HDA2, which adds in the automatic lane change. So I like it. You just have to turn on your blinker and then it will help you steer into the adjacent lane.
So it's sort of like what they did with the Blue Cruise or the Super Cruise with when you just hit the signal and it moves. It knows if there's cars there or whatever. And
so it might slow down a little bit to get an appropriate space behind the next lane over, the vehicle in the next lane over.
Yep.
So I think some people like using it here. Some people don't ever use it. But for this specific auto lane change feature, I thought it did pretty well. Did you try it?
I tried it. I like using them. Just in the sense also of just trying all the parts of the car, you know, for the job. I was surprised the first time I tapped it and then it, you know, like, oh, okay, it will start going, you know, so that's nice now. It's not set to do it automatically.
No.
The systems that do that are a little unnerving. Even though I know they're generally like overly compensating for safety, it still is unnerving to have something just go, time to move.
Yeah. Sometimes with no warning.
Right, with no warning. Like, I think you should pull back into the right lane. Like, no, I can see up ahead. I know what's going on up there, but it wants to go in the right lane. That's a strange feeling. But it was seamless. It didn't bounce the lane in my experience or any of that.
Yeah, I do think that it wasn't as consistent as I was hoping it would be. So sometimes it would start moving and then it would drop out, it would cancel out, or it would swerve back in because it picked up some change that it no longer liked and then kind of, you know, took a step back. Sometimes telling you, sometimes not.
Yeah, right. When it gives up, and there's a spot on Route 2, I think, that we all end up driving through with the kind of a fast S-curve, and so many cars give up there with no warning. And that's a scary thing, especially when people become reliant on it.
Yeah, over reliant, absolutely. And that happens a lot with lane centering, which in this car, I think it's pretty solid. It's really good on straight roads, so you don't get any sort of like wavering within the lane.
Ping ponging or whatever they call it.
Instead, it's pretty straight and it's easy to add your own steering in. I do think though that the curve performance, so actually taking a curve and keeping the vehicle in the center, it tended to just swing wide. And sometimes it would touch the lane, give its own lane departure warning, letting me know that it couldn't handle it. And then sometimes it would go to standby and not tell me. So it was not as reliable. So you just have to really make sure that you're still paying attention and putting in your own steering input.
Again, you should be paying attention, right?
Yeah.
100%. Well, and I found it also that, and it's not to a fault of the vehicle, but construction lines and skimmed over lines where they grind them out to paint new lines because they shifted the lanes, that confused it as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, it's just another example of why I think everyone's like self-driving cars. Like, yeah, maybe on straight, square,
Perfect
right angle roads. Maybe it's working in San Francisco, but there's a long way to go.
They're supposed to, like in owner's manuals, and this is not just Hyundai, this is every OEM, they're supposed to say like, use it here or don't use it here. And so they'll say like, don't use it in poor road conditions, but people still use it in poor road conditions because it allows them to.
It does.
So again, performance is going to drop.
And sometimes, I mean, at 60 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour flowing with traffic, and then all of a sudden the lane shifts. Like if you're engaged with it, it still is, the reaction time may not be quick, unfortunately. You know, people aren't paying attention.
Right.
And so, yeah, all of a sudden it engages and it starts following towards the Jersey barrier instead of following the lane to the right.
Yeah.
And then not that the Palisade did that. It's just an example of things that have happened over the time with cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are 3 different heights here. How was seating position, seat comfort, roominess, lack of roominess?
Comfortable for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I was able to adjust everything to my liking. The only thing is that it's pretty common, I think, consistently within Hyundai vehicles right now with its current like infotainment design is that you have to be very particular about where the steering wheel goes so that it doesn't cut off the corners of the screen. But other than that, I was able to find a comfortable position. I didn't feel like boxed in or anything.
Right.
Yeah. I had issues with the position a little bit. So they have the stalk that has the drive, your gear selector.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's down kind of under the wheel, and I have decent sized legs. I might call them meaty legs, and I'm like too close to the stalk, and you have to look at that stalk because the power button, to turn the car on, the ignition button is behind like part of the steering wheel, at least for my position. So you like are kind of looking for that, and I'm always bumping into my leg and where I like the steering wheel, it could use more adjustment all the way around, telescope and everything else. Where I like it, I can't quite get. I wish I could get a little lower. And then I'm losing some of the instrument panel from the steering wheel. So it's not ideal for me, but it's not the end of the world either. But I've been in more comfortable driving position cars, right? Okay. So that was something to navigate, but I wish they would get away from that stock thing. I don't quite understand that.
So some of the features in this we did talk about. Second row seats have the cool recline.
Yeah.
So it's
super reclined.
It's not like full first class seat with the leg rest, but having power second row seats, again, the price, lots of adjustability. And, we have captain's chairs. It is available with a bench in the base models. Anything else that you really want to hit on that you liked a lot?
Well, we were talking about this at one point. The front seat has that thigh extender, but it's like really like a calf rest, as if you were going to sleep in the front driver's seat.
I don't think you can fully extend that while you're
driving. It comes out an
though.
awkward amount, though. But like for me, and like I was playing with it. Well, by accident, because that's what I will say. The seat controls are a little bit interesting.
There's a lot.
We'll kind of talk about that.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's not like your normal setup, but that little thing swings out like as if you were going to like kick your legs up, but it doesn't come up that far, and it just seems a little odd. I don't know what the point of that is, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I think if you're at a stop, you can swing it up more so that you can kind of just chill there, which I think would be really handy if it were a full EV and you're like at a charger. But
Right.
okay, yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Versus like waiting in the school pickup line or something.
It just makes more sense in like the passenger seat. Like let them sleep.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't be sleeping in the driver's seat. I don't know. I thought that was
100%.
interesting anyway.
So before I move on, I want to talk about the controls a little bit because I thought that they were, for the most part, pretty easy to use. I mean, we do have two 12.3-inch displays that kind of come together seamlessly for the driver screen and the infotainment screen, but then we have a lot of buttons.
Hard buttons, yeah.
So you have like this whole row of shortcuts and even some customizable buttons that make it really easy to just quickly switch through apps if you want. Even the home screen has different, what we call like widgets, so you can have navigation up if you have that, or a phone and media all at the same time. Yeah. And you can arrange that. But like the windshield wipers, the headlights, those are all very straightforward.
Physical knobs
you
and
don't
levers.
have to like tap on like the side of the screen or something. It's just there.
Or it's just not a redesign of it where there's the wipers on the left and there's a lever, versus being traditionally on the right. It's straightforward.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was good, but, of course, every car, even some high scoring ones, are going to have some bad. And while we haven't tested it, we've had a lot of people putting miles on it so we can get our test up online and out to see our members. The powertrain really elicited a lot of different responses, and most of it was not great.
Yeah, it has a lot of issues. And I still reserve full judgment until we test it fully and everything else. But my time in it was interesting. just in general, there's a pretty good delay when you're taking off. So it's a hybrid, so it's got this. You should have this electric shove, and then the engine will start up. And there's transitions between electric and the engine aren't terrible, but there seems to be some confusion when you're taking off certain areas. And I left here one night with it, and there's a section of road where it's just flat, and then it's a little bit of a hill, and there's a stop sign at the top of that hill. It's not that much of a hill; it's just a little incline. It's a three-way intersection, and I stop, people come to the intersection after me, so now it's my turn. I'm first. I go to take off, and I step on the throttle, and it's just creeps slowly, and it's EV only. And I'm like in the middle of the intersection by now, and it's crawling. Like it would not go. And I put my foot to the floor, and I'm like, I need to go. Like people, it was.
Yeah, you're in the middle of the
you get like anxious. Yeah. And it's not. This isn't a major intersection.
Problem.
Yeah, it's not a major intersection, but it's an intersection. Like right.
People time it. They think like, okay, he's going. I'm going to start.
Yeah. And you get used to driving cars. Like when you step on the throttle, usually the car goes forward, right? Like with some urgency, especially if your foot's on the floor.
That's kind of the point of the drive mode, right?
And then it came to life eventually. By the time I was at the next stop, at the other edge of the intersection where their stop line is, and the engine came on and it took off. And not even in a hurry, it just went, but it seemed very, very confused. Like it did not know what was going on. It didn't do that again, but I did have, while I had it, but I did read some other people had similar situations. Mine seemed like it might have been most severe, but it even after that, it was just some clunky shifts, slow to respond, the throttle inputs when you're, taking off like that stuff. It was pretty bad. I mean, it was alarming to me, almost to the point of like, is there something wrong with that? I was waiting for a check engine light to come on, to be honest. Sometimes you get like a stumble and then it's like, oh, something bad happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it clears itself out. It just nothing ever came on. It was fine, but it's a bummer because usually like the hybrid versions, what we find, the hybrid versions are better than their ICE counterparts because the hybrid systems have been so perfected and they have that electric shove, and Hyundai and Kia have done that well in other vehicles. Something doesn't seem fully right here. So I don't think so. I don't know if you guys had something like
Maddie?
that.
Yeah, mine was definitely not as extreme as yours was, but mine was turning left onto the highway and like an unprotected green and having to time it right. But then, it just not shooting forward as much as I was expecting it to.
Yep.
And so just panicking a little bit. But then like I got used to it. I got accustomed to that behavior.
delay,
so then I adapted my own driving behavior. And once I did so, it wasn't bad. I mean, I could feel the downshifts just a little bit or on the highway, which was fine. It wasn't egregious, but it also wasn't perfect and smooth.
Right.
So I wasn't trying to give it, I wasn't giving a high bar. Like it worked.
Yeah.
It was fine. I didn't feel the same terror. It sounds like you felt
In that
moment.
Yeah, it was.
Do you need a moment, Ryan?
No, and part of me, that was in the first 5 minutes of my drive, right? A bunch of people drive these cars. So, and these cars are brand new. So I think there is some like in learning of the transmission does and some things. So, I reserve full judgment for later, but it initially was like, wow, this is something,
And both of you drove the regular Palisade.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, if I'm step on you a second.
No, you're good.
I think it's an interesting thing because you brought up a great point in that what we found is when we test the Kia Sorento and then the Sorento hybrid, the Tucson hybrid, whatever it is, we always go, yeah, the hybrid makes up for the deficiencies and it's always a base 4-cylinder, some small 4, and then a hybrid 4.
Yeah.
And here we have a hybrid 4 against a V6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we, just like we said with Toyota, like Toyota, now they all run turbo 4s or hybrid 4s. It's just like, yeah, the V6 is really great and it's responsive and we miss it or whatever. And that V6, and here so it's almost like an apples and oranges, and like, oh, if that was a 4-cylinder, that thing would probably be a dog, in that big vehicle.
Yeah.
And then this would be, oh, at least it's better.
Yeah.
And
that's
here
a
it
good
really
point.
stands out. Not to minimize, because I had the same experience. I pulled out in front of a school bus, making it in the traffic in the mornings, like, oh, I got to floor it, and then it lights up a tire, and you launch like you're driving like a jerk.
Yeah.
So I was totally there with you guys.
Yeah, I will say overall power, I was expecting a little more. I thought it was like merging onto the highway and whatnot, or like if you want, or you're already moving and want to get going. I found myself putting it to the floor fully several times.
For me, it was like because there was that delay, because like the EV mode can go up pretty high, like to cruising speeds on the highway. So it was like keeping it in EV mode. And then when I wanted to speed up to merge, because there is a really quick merge right now due to construction, and it just wasn't giving me what I needed. So then, you floor it, and then you get launched forward, but after a delay. So
after the delay.
Yeah.
That you then a couple days later learn and fix and build into your driving, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I'm assuming, it does get good fuel economy for its size. So they might be they're stretching that battery as much as they can, I guess, you know.
I mean, even regardless, well, I guess despite the delays in the power delivery, I still like the hybrid. I think with the better gas mileage, I think it's worth some minor difficulties, maybe some major difficulties in some people's experience.
I would probably want to have the all-wheel drive one just, again, I'm totally projecting having not driven, but think of if it has this issue with all-wheel drive, if it's going to light up the front wheels and then all of a sudden clamp down like a stability control.
Yeah.
Like that's at least here if it I'm just assuming, if it feels a little slippage, it's going to additionally send power to the rear and you're going to go. You're not going to necessarily have that same situation. 29 miles per gallon for the all-wheel drive version we own is fantastic.
So the other thing that I thought was interesting, because usually the hybrid's better, even ride comfort, I thought. And that can, I didn't look at the wheel size and whatnot, because that wheels and tires, that can matter. But usually the hybrid's got a little more weight. It kind of settles the car down. Or helps with some of those impacts and stuff like that. The regular ICE version, I think, rode a little better,
which is a calligraphy too.
Yeah.
So it's not as if it's a base model with
no,
wheels
right.
And tires.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. But
so it seems like the things that normally make a hybrid better didn't pan out in the
and it's not horrible, but it's a little bit of a reversal from what we're used to most times. So,
Yep. So what about the brakes? That was another comment in the logbook so far that a number of testers have said, like, it feels a little under braked. It's not reassuring.
Sorry,
after you launched and you hit the brakes.
Once I was moving, I kept moving until I got home. Getting off the highway a few times, or another situation where I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop quickly. That pedal goes in always, and it does not give you a lot of confidence that you're going to stop. It's not a light car, but it just doesn't have, like some brakes, they have that nice firm feel. There's a good initial bite, and then it's easy to modulate after that. This isn't hard to modulate, but you just don't have the power. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of power there.
So the second row seats we talked about, power seats, really cool. Oh my gosh. Did you guys play with them?
Yes.
I didn't.
Yeah. And
I think we're thinking about the same thing.
We're here together.
Yeah. So there's a really convenient button at like the top, I think, of the seat, and it just automatically folds it out of the way so you can get in the third row. But it takes forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I timed it. It was about 12 seconds.
Legends say it's still moving right now.
Exactly.
Wow. I didn't try it, but
it was real.
But imagine
really
you had the antsy kids like trying to jump in the back and you're waiting for it.
The kid's not going to want to wait for that.
Yeah.
Of course, like if you have bucket seats, they could go
Run
in and
around,
around, but like
So
still,
my son and some friends went out to see a movie. So I took them, and yes, two of them just did the go around.
Yeah.
Like,
Go through the hatch.
Okay. Yeah, right. They had to climb through the hatch quicker. So I went back there and adjusted the seats and tried it out, and yeah, super slow. I did the recline. Like, okay, let me go check the third row, and then like, and coming off the Lucid Gravity, which has the same type of thing, except it's noisy. It sounds industrial.
Oh, yeah.
This at least was quieter.
Yeah. It's a great feature to have, though, when it works, right? I mean,
a fantastic
forward,
feature.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and the third, what's interesting, I mean, this is kind of a positive. The third row actually has a power. Like you could slide the third row back and forth a little too.
Which I thought was pretty nice.
It's power?
Yeah.
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 I didn't play with that. Huh.
Yeah, so you could do that. Well, I don't think you would ever climb into a third row. No offense.
No.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have a good time in this one.
No.
That would.
I used to sit in the third row when I was the tall guy for seat comfort, but I'm glad that those days are over.
You've gotten old and your knees don't work as well, right?
Yeah.
Give it to
It's a
someone else.
medical condition now, yeah.
So what do we think about the overall verdict on this? It gotten a lot of attention online. A lot of people said, okay, V6 great, but what about the hybrid? You guys fight it out.
You go first.
Okay. Well, I already said before I would get the hybrid over the ICE. I would say if someone was interested in it, I would say, as we normally advise, don't buy this model year, wait for the next one. But then, check it out. And I really liked it for the most part. I think it's a pretty well-rounded vehicle. And like we talked about before, you get a lot of amenities for the price. I think you could even go to a mid-level trim like SEL Premium and still get a lot. And I think the only thing that I would really struggle with day to day is adjusting the climate. We didn't talk about that, but we can now.
Yeah.
Very briefly. It's a touch capacitive little screen or its own little panel.
Yep.
And it's quite low. And it's just like a bunch of small buttons all in a row or a grid. And it's just a little bit harder to use than potentially just having dials or buttons for everything.
Sure.
And I know we say this a lot, but really for climate control, I just want dials, or at least for temperature and fan speed. At the bare minimum. We do get temperature in this car, but we don't get fan speed. And so, I think that's something that I would get a little bit tired of doing. But
I don't find auto always being what I want.
yeah.
So then I want to get into the fan speed and adjust it. Or when you have the multi-zone and someone, my wife, wants it super cold or super warm, and I want a different way. And then you have the fan, trying to balance that. You want to get in there and
You're just counteracting each other.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what they are.
It lands in the middle.
Exactly. If I just had auto, I'd figure it out. But, Brian, what about your thoughts on it?
So again, I think there's a ton of potential here. I agree. I mean, I wouldn't buy wouldn't buy a new one this year. What we mentioned in the transmission drivetrain stuff, that's all fixable. That's software fixable.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, right? So,
and it may learn, like you pointed out.
It might, yeah. Listen, what happened to me could have been a one-off thing, fluke thing, right? But I think there's still some issues there that are just present all the time. But I think it's fixable, and I think that the rest of the cars, it's a great base to start with. I mean, it's got the room, it's even the seat that goes too slow, like they can fix that, right? So, and I think it's not my cup of tea, and we don't rate styling, but I think it's just. People will like the styling of it. It's different, it's a little more loud, if you will. It stands out. So I think it's going to be. I think they will fix it. The little things that we don't like, and hopefully it does well.
Yeah.
So this isn't based on Consumer Reports numbers because we're just using the EPA. But so according to the EPA, someone who buys this will save $4,000 a year in fuel over buying the all-wheel drive V6 version of the Palisade. So compared to the average vehicle, it's interesting. The window sticker didn't say this. The window sticker said you don't save any money over the average vehicle. So the fleet averaged out.
I see.
But then the EPA website said that it would save $250 a year in fuel over the average vehicle. The front-wheel drive hybrid will save $750 a year over the average vehicle. So it will help you pay off a difference. It may not be immediate. Right there, $4,000 a year over the V6, that's close. Like that'll pay off a price difference relatively quickly.
Yeah. It's interesting to have a front wheel drive version of this hybrid in a vehicle this size. I find that interesting, but it's cool.
Would either of you say, let's assume it's test fine, reliability, blah, blah. Toyota Grand Highlander or Hyundai Palisade hybrid? Toyota Grand Highlander hybrid or Hyundai Palisade hybrid?
I'm going Toyota.
Can I do the Max?
Oh, yeah.
The Grand Highlander Max.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine with the big engine.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's a toss-up for me. I'd have to drive them back to back. But they both have their pros and cons for controls. Yeah. And ADAS. Maybe I'm leaning a little bit towards the Palisade right now.
Okay.
Seating position is just better in the Highlander for sure, for me.
Sure, yeah.
But that's me.
So we have first drives on both versions of the Hyundai Palisade up on consumerreports.org, and stay tuned for full test results. So now we're at the question and answer part of the show. As always, you could send your text or video questions to talkingcars@icloud.com. Send them in. If you get chosen to have your question answered, you will get a spiffy consumerreports.org garment. Not this, but a garment of some sort. A t-shirt?
I think so.
We're giving away t-shirts, not hoodies. T-shirts. So you get a t-shirt with the new logo on your left side of the shirt. Anyhow, our first question comes from Mark from Naperville, Illinois, who says, after having spent a lot of time with physical therapy and acupuncture to alleviate my sciatica symptoms, seat comfort has become a priority for me, and my Toyota RAV4 isn't helping in this department. Is there anything to the Nissan and Infiniti zero-gravity seats? The very name has a distinct odor of marketing hooey. Nice. But several sources seem to indicate that these seats are very comfortable in long-distance driving situations. So in our planning meeting, we said, like, all right, we got to do research and check and such. And then we had a visit from Nissan.
It was perfect
to
timing.
talk about the new Sentra, which is going to also be on consumerreports.org. Maddie, you beat me to the question with this Nissan guy, so I want you to take it first.
Sure.
What is zero gravity?
So the way that they explained it is that it's named, I guess, in the category of like NASA, everything, right? So very comfortable seats with the aim to reduce pressure on pressure points, just the way that it's the foam sits, and also how your spine rests against the seat. I don't know how it does it, and I don't know if it actually does it, but what we can talk about is how we have rated the comfort of recent Nissans that we've tested. And I think for the Armada, I really liked it. I think in that specific car, I spent 3.5 hours in the driver's seat and 3.5 hours in the second row seat, and I was totally fine.
Yep.
So that is a car, obviously, that's more expensive, and I think we had at least a mid-trim, so take that as you will. I know that I also spent 2 hours in the Nissan Kicks, and I didn't like that one. So my recommendation for Nissans is to, try it out. That's the go-to answer in this situation.
Sure.
Do the Kicks has the zero gravity seat? Are they all zero gravity?
They're not all zero gravity
No.
because they made a big deal about Sentra having it not only in the front, but also now in the some trims in the outboard rear.
Yes.
Okay.
But not the center. So it does depend. It depends on the trim level.
Right.
And, in the Murano that we have, I found it fine.
Yeah.
I didn't sit there saying that I was, 2001 floating out, in space or doing some kind of Martian thing going around. Like, it was like, it was a seat. It was fine. It wasn't offensive. It wasn't the best thing that I've ever ridden in.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, if you hop out of the car and your back doesn't hurt, that's a good seat.
You're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. We say this a lot. Everyone's body's different.
Yeah.
So we can test a car and it does great, but it might not fit you. So you got to go sit in these things. Unfortunately, I get your test drive can't be 3.5 hours long, maybe, but it's that's the unfortunate. The tricky part is just everyone's body's different, and you don't know what might fit you or not. So
Yeah.
I think the key thing for Mark and for other listeners and viewers is it depends on the trim level as well.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. He didn't say what level the Toyota RAV4. So you could have an LE. It's got a manual adjusted cloth seat. It's definitely a price point seat. And then you get into a Murano or you get even into a Rogue that has the zero gravity because it's a platinum. Like, it's going to be a different experience. The seat's going to be different. It's going to have different adjustments. So a lot of it, we say that a lot with Subarus. We've said, okay, the premium with the cloth seats, so. We suggest getting the leather if you can, or move up one level because it's just more supportive. It has fewer pressure points. So that is a key thing to think about. It may not be marketing hooey. It may be marketing hooey, depending on your body. But definitely try out different levels of the seat to see. And if the dealer doesn't have it, go to another dealer. Don't settle for what they have on the lot.
Yeah.
right.
I also just want to put in, since we're talking about the Palisade before, their ergo motion seats. So instead of using foam, which a lot of OEMs do use, they use air pockets, which they like inflate. And that's what inflates and deflates for like the bolsters and the lumbar and the ergo motion seat movement, which is supposedly, like I said, supposed to help reduce fatigue. And in the Palisade, you can have it like come on manually, like you press a button, or you can have it set to go off a half an hour into your drive, which was very startling at first.
Yes. Someone said it an hour in mine, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. In a car like that, I didn't expect it to have it. So it's like, whoa, what is that? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, to another example, the Hyundai Genesis, some of them have the seat will adjust the bolster based on how you're cornering. So you go around, and it'll tighten the side bolster so that you're not sliding. So you're not sliding. I don't want to get out of the microphone range. And again, that's a more complicated seat. That may be better than, and this was the GV70, might be better than the Audi Q5, which just has regular bolsters. So definitely try it out. Our next question is from Steve, who says, I look forward to the show every week. I have a question on tire ranking categories. What is the difference between the all-season and all-season SUV tire categories in your ratings? The Michelin Cross Climate 2 3PM SF ranks highest in the all-season SUV category, while the Michelin Defender 2 non-3PM SF ranks highest in the standard all-season category. Is the separation simply based on vehicle type, SUV versus sedan, or something else? So I'm going to leave and we'll just let Ryan take care of this one.
We want to be here.
This is a great question. And he's right. I mean, it's basically because they were tested on different vehicles. So we test like 3 major groups of tires. You have your passenger all-season tires, historically anyway, that go on like a Camry. These are all-season tires that go on small SUVs, a Camry. And then we test truck tires that go on body and frame truck tires. And in that year, we would test these SUV all-season tires, which is that cross climate he's talking about. And then the third year is performance, ultra high performance summer all-season sports car tires, right? The ratings for each year are only comparable with themselves because they were tested in a batch that year on the same vehicle. But the next year was tested on the different tires were tested on a different vehicle. The interesting part about the all-season and all-season SUV tires is that there's actually a huge overlap, and this is kind of where we're headed, which is why I like this question. We're headed towards taking all-season, because there's a huge overlap in regular all-season tires and SUV all-season tires. And the fact that there's tires that fit on Camrys that go on RAV4s and Highlanders, right? And there's the all-season tire isn't necessarily an all-season SUV tire or an all-season tire, right? There's a big overlap. Some manufacturers, like Michelin, they make tires, the Cross Climate, in a little tire that goes on a Chevy Spark all the way up to like your Suburban, right? Other manufacturers don't do that. So they have segments, which makes it difficult for us because I can't test 2 tires or 1 tire in 2 different groups, because then it would come up with 2 different overall scores tested on 2 different vehicles. That's not fair, because then when you go to our tire selector and you want to choose a tire, you're going to see the Cross Climate 2 with 2 different overall scores. And what does that mean, right? So unfortunately, right now, we're trying to figure out a way to do that better, but that's why. So the difference is, yes, they're tested on different vehicles. Going forward, I think next year, we're going to blend SUV and all-season together, because that's where it's going. The sedans are slowly going away. The RAV4 was, I think, the most popular vehicle sold in the U.S. last year, something like that. It's out of control,
CRV, they're always up there.
But the point is that small to medium-sized SUV is tremendously popular, and the tires overlap is huge. So that's where we're hopefully headed. But as of right now, that's why you see the 2 different scores. And the Defender the Defender 2 gets a 68, which is the top for that category for that year, and then the Cross Climate 2 gets a 78 for that category for that year, which was prior. So it's a little confusing in that sense, but you can't compare them directly because they were tested on different vehicles. So it's a great question, and hopefully we're going to mitigate some of that confusion in the future. But
So since I'm not in the tire program, why is he talking about 3 o'clock in the afternoon in San Francisco with 3 p.m. SF? What is that?
That's 3 peak mountain snowflake symbol, the Cross Climate 2. The Cross Climate 2 is an all-weather tire. So an all-weather tire has a 3 peak mountain snowflake symbol, which is the same symbol that all dedicated winter tires carry on their sidewalls, which means they passed an actual test, a physical test that gives them that symbol, meaning they have snow traction that's suitable for winter driving. Some provinces up in Canada, they require these in the winter. And there's nothing beats a dedicated winter tire in snow. So these all-weather tires are allowed. They basically have that symbol, but they also have the UTQG ratings that your regular all-season tire has that you can run year-round. So now you have this tire that has basically all-season performance, but extra snow traction. And Michelin does it really well with the Cross Climate 2. So that's what 3PMSF means.
So if you want to get snow tires, should you not buy a set of tires that doesn't have the 3PMSF on it?
So yeah, if you're worried about snow traction, an all-weather tire is great. If you live somewhere where it gets really nasty in the winter, you should get a dedicated set of winter tires and then swap between all seasons and winters. Around here, all weathers make a lot of sense. all seasons even work. There's a lot of really good all season tires that are good in snow too. But the 3 peak mountain snowflake symbol on your all weather tire is a tire that's going to help you in the snow tremendously, and it saves you from having to switch back and forth. But back to his question, yeah, that's basically the difference. They're tested on different vehicles, so they're both great tires, and you can use them interchangeably if you have a Camry or a RAV4 or something like that. In reality, but we just can't test them that way as of right now.
I learned a lot.
I learned a lot too. I have one last question.
All right.
Hopefully it's short. What's the difference between all season and all weather tires?
So your all season tires have all season tires is sort of an American thing back in the day, right? We wanted a one tire that did everything. The Europeans had summer tires and winter tires. We came along, we're like, we want to make one tire that does everything, but it doesn't do it great. It's like a Swiss Army knife. It does everything, but not great. But these tires, by definition for us, these tires have a UTQG ratings on them, meaning they have traction temperature, treadwear ratings from the government. That means they can be driven on year round. Winter tires don't have that. So we call an all-weather tire, at least internally, this is the tire industry is a little annoying with this because there's no like set definitions for some things. An all-weather tire, at least what we define it as, is a tire that has a 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol and UTQG ratings.
Okay.
So it's basically, think of it like you have all-season tires, all-weather tires, and then winter tires. And it's closer to maybe an all-season tire in reality, but it's just extra snow traction towards a winter tire.
So it's like a winter-capable all-season.
Yes, right.
All right, that's a good way.
And I look at it, the way that the rubber technology is going, it's like eventually all-season tires may not exist, or they all have that symbol because they're making the rubber compound so much better than it used to be. So it's not just tread design, it's compound. So we could talk about this for 3 hours, but we're not going to. But that's the difference for us anyway.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, we encourage them. I mean, if you look at the ratings, they're sprinkled throughout the entire list of all seasons because they're tested with all seasons, and it shows you they're great. And they just run the whole gamut of the ratings. So it's we recommend them.
All right, that's it for this episode. Unfortunately, we're not getting a t-shirt because we ask questions. It's only to the people who send them in to talkingcars@icloud.com. So make sure you send them in. There's all tire information, all you could want. There's Hyundai Palisade, Hyundai Palisade Hybrid, and the full 3-row SUV categories on consumerreports.org. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.